a portable mic as well.
Maybe you're,
So if anybody has questions,
are you doing a presentation?
none.
So you don't need that.
Yeah, no
It's gonna look much better without the screen.
Well, it's a hybrid Zoom meeting.
It has to be down. You get such a beautiful blue wall in the back. It just, I mean, I don't want to mess things up, but it'll look. Does somebody need to see the screen or?
I'm not, so I'm filling in for somebody.
Yeah, you're filling for Dan, right? Yeah. Dan? But anyway, that's
Allie.
okay. Yeah, okay, Allie. Oh, Allie. Yeah. Correct, let me press releases. I find this up on my own, John. Nobody sends me any press releases. Mostly we have somebody that does that here, but I don't get them. So I just do it on my own. Yeah. Yeah, I do it on my own.
Well, I'm glad you do.
I'm trying to get on the press list. I mean, it's only a little town. I'm trying to get on the North Shore Music Theater list. I know the general manager for 10 years. She keeps telling me, oh, I'm going to get you to the shows, James, blah, 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 blah. You know her very well. She seems to. Yeah.
Right.
It's a little better.
Is there a mic in the audience?
Yeah,
Is there a mic?
Or mic.
All right, I've got a mic check.
There's a gym. No, it's around the corner. People used to, they used to tease me in school, as kids do, especially in Manchester. They say, okay, class, we're gonna go to the gym now, and the entire class will look at it. I mean, I don't think they planned it ahead of time or. Thank you very much.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay. The agenda's better be.
Let's see.
Oh, exciting. Okay. Wow, John. Now that is impressive.
This.
You can do it. Yeah, I think that'll work. You know, if somebody had some spring or something, and they even, well, I hate to see it fall in the way. You know what you're doing. You've been at this a long time.
Test.
You tried to come tonight, but she likes to get a lot done when I'm not in the house. Yeah, you're right. Coming too.
We're in competition with the Florida Solar.
I know, but this is more interesting. That's just a ship that's sinking. You're going to stay afloat because history did not sink.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm aware of this select board meeting going on, but this is not interesting. Well, the thing is, the people that didn't make it, rewarded.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you?
It should be on. This is the one for the audience.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it off for now.
You know what?
I'll leave it off for now, but
Okay.
there's just a power button you just have to hold down.
Okay.
All right.
And the volume on those should be all the way up.
Oh, nice system here. All right, let's see. Yes, well, the thing is, they know it's gonna be staying remotely in the select board meeting. They could possibly move it somewhere else if they really thought it out. You know, it doesn't have to be there. But it looks good. Look at that. So, God, if it's stolen, it's because I have it in front of my house. I live at a 4R Lindsay Street. Yeah.
Okay. Let's.
As long as I hang it below the, oh, look at that. That's kind of cool. I like that.
I was gonna say, should I hang it the other way?
Well, I don't know. I think it's meant to be on a, like a flag thing, being like this.
Yeah.
Way those, but I'm dealing with that town historian. I'm not gonna be history because of you. That's what Jack Atkins makes. He makes $100 for being the town administrator. You make nothing for being this.
When I was a
Am I right?
when I was a voter registrar, I made $100 a year.
Yeah, so there you go. You know what it's all about. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna get this on.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And water.
Keith? Okay, good. All right, let me read over my notes quietly back here.
You won't. Keep the paparazzi away.
Mush.
Check 1, 2. That's good.
Yeah, it was 50. Most. I love the top. I love. Any grant that. Put it in my coffee.
Well, they're both put in springs.
Yeah.
But there's this mass. We just tried to. For the record, we said. Seventeen, 42. Well, it will be, it did.
Reversing. How you doing? Good, and you? Hi.
Down some of those here.
That tape is tough.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you some extra stuff on there while you're rehearsing, just in case something goes wrong.
Okay, good.
Do you own Rumson Rum? Is that Rumson Rum?
Yeah, that was my son and my cousin's son started that.
Really? I've never drank it. I don't drink alcohol, but I know what the logo is.
Well,
Which goes to show you, no, branding is important. I know exactly what it is. It's a-
Rumson was a boxer.
Oh, really?
He passed away and there's a
It's real from
replacement.
Salem?
You
Oh,
see, in 1625, Jonathan Orne arrived in Salem
oh, I love this stuff.
And ready,
and
his
King,
name was Horn
yes,
with the H.
Right.
Rather than Orn.
Oh, that's interesting.
and
Oh.
King George
Oh,
granted him the rights to sell spirit water.
oh, okay.
And that was rum.
And the Orns have been good spirit ever since.
That's
Is the business, it's still in business, right? You said your son used to own it?
My son got out of it he left, my cousin's son, Eric Glass,
Yeah.
got divorced.
Oh, gosh, I know that stuff.
So
Okay,
after COVID,
yeah.
when business started picking up again,
Mhm.
Eric now needed to draw a salary out, and my son said, hey, I've worked 7 years without a salary.
Okay, yeah,
I think I better find something else to do.
right.
So he went back to what he was educated in, and he earns a living day trading.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That was
Yeah,
really-
that's great.
So,
Okay.
and,
But I recognize the logo though. I really do.
Yeah, it's a good logo.
Whenever I go to any Caribbean countries, again, I don't drink, my future wife doesn't, I don't care if people do or don't, but they always have endless rum on those ships you go on. Because I always go like a schooner when I go visiting somewhere like
There's
that.
nothing better than from being mixed in with something. I
Yeah.
have to tell you that.
There's a woman I met a bunch of people, they were some lawyers out of Washington, and I happen to know one of them from someone else, but anyway, I was talking to them. And they were very polite in the beginning, in the morning, we first got on the boat at 8 a.m. By around 1 or 2 o'clock. One of them was the hatch call, up in the upper part. She's hanging upside down in the galley, going, hey, everybody, I'm like, weren't you the one I was speaking to earlier about like some kind of like, well, serious topic?
Interesting, back in college.
How you doing?
Good, started the first.
Is your bride coming tonight?
She was operating on cataract surgery. So
Piece of cake.
she's got.
Okay.
She was a little nervous about it, I know.
She was.
Easy
So,
peasy.
and I drove her home, got her in, she said, oh, come. I said, just lie there. When I went out the door, she was asleep.
That's the best thing. My wife was nervous about getting her. Piece of cake, as soon as she got the first one, she said, I can't wait for the second one.
That's amazing to me. That's really amazing. Are you doing slides?
Of course.
What'd you do?
I got given, so I said, perfect place to hang it for that. Those other people, I don't know where.
I would think they would.
I ended up.
I'm James.
in my mailbox.
I wonder
What's
if
your
he
name?
made them.
I'm James.
Could I ask you a favor tonight?
Yes.
You know I
There's a
am, right?
portable mic,
During
the question,
Yes.
maybe you can,
Let's get nice and friendly
if
with you.
there's any questions.
Gentleman that's
Oh,
gonna
that'll
be
be
studying things up.
Yeah, there will be questions. Sure.
She just brought in a case of tomatoes. I don't know what that was all about.
Been here.
So do you know where the second mic is? Do
Okay.
you know where that second mic is?
Yes, let me get it.
Oh, no. No, she meant to say the dates she was looking at were, well, wait a minute, they might write.
No dates for you.
Look, this is getting me nervous now. Wait. I met with Lauren and we talked about. Making me crazy now. It was on the 20th and 21st, those are the dates.
Okay, well,
Did she say those? Yeah, we're talking about either Monday, the
That-
20th or 21st. I mean, those,
that's a,
she might have just said, she might have been a typo or something, that's all I can think,
let's just,
yeah. Glad I got to meet you tonight. Oh, she must have,
March 30th or April 6th.
why
So,
don't you just tell her you're talking to James right now, we discussed the 20th and 21st.
this month,
Yeah, I think, because we met the other day, so I think that's what, I think she just got mixed up in there.
well, this was a few weeks ago.
Okay, the task.
Okay.
I met with her on Tuesday,
Okay,
so we were looking at either the 20th or 21st.
okay.
So if you,
I'll make either day work, whichever works
All right.
better for you guys.
so you're gonna get back to her then?
Yeah,
And
I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, looking forward to interviewing you then, that'll be very.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting tale.
Well, we're looking forward to it.
You're doing that what tomorrow?
Yeah,
Kinds of fun things.
I got an assignment for you.
Work at 12 hours.
You're going to the,
Police, not the police,
the
town department.
town of Patrick thing.
Yeah.
So I
And I was
worked
here.
in on the parking.
There's a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook. Interesting comments.
Well, as it turns out,
We're gonna be doing,
Marblehead for 90 years played softball at that facility.
Yeah.
They're the oldest continuing softball league in the nation.
We call Marblehead in his own words.
Their proposed new field is under regulation size for men's softball. Yeah,
No.
well, the adjustment is, they won't have to do anything.
They can just, you know, when I first came, they went to like, when I first came to LA. I'll tell you a story, and somebody was born.
Plenty of room.
Yeah, well, they'll remove parking spaces too. But, so
Now that happens.
the reason they, leaning towards AstroTurf, it would be a nightmare because of the rolling. No matter how much built,
Yeah.
it's because the water is gonna be too expensive to keep the greens. Well, I noticed today that they're turning the sprinklers on at Tedesco.
I just recently called
And they run them off of a well. Well, what took place in
ancestry,
Lake Green Street,
You know what that is? It uses more electricity, which the government wants you to.
Yeah, I never met.
so they could put a well in and
Any suggestions
You know.
at the end?
but
My real father.
I'm suggesting they put,
Now I know.
Good.
I never knew.
Thank you.
scrap the rink project.
No
No
idea.
kidding.
No clue.
That's
Put
great.
$1.3 million into the Green Street and put the other 2 million into an annuity
Somebody
that would fund ice skating at the proposed new facility. And they don't want to go public.
Hey,
Good to see you.
Actually.
Enjoy. What? My wife was in the Yeah, right.
That's
So
weird.
I picked up.
And then people say.
Holidays are very still up for
I am.
You get up at 4, you ready then?
Yes.
Will be.
Yeah, I know.
1:00 at the kitchen.
Yeah.
Spent much of my life there. It was my grandfather's.
Oh, really? Yeah, I saw that. I went to the annual meeting the other day and I saw that. Some of the renovation, upward is like, how they used to old film, those canisters. They're rustic canisters. I guess that would have been from the turn of the century.
And with the mic check.
Well, they were given, Richmond's printing was also a photographer.
Yeah.
They were given the first license to sell Kodak.
Nice. That's funny, you have that license. You still have that in the water.
I don't know if my cousins see, my grandfather was a typeset printer.
Yeah.
Done.
And his son learned printing
Done.
in the military.
Yeah.
When he got out, he was a barber with my uncle, Pleasant Street. Then they went into, he would print newspaper in Marblehead.
Okay.
Called the Adler. And it was sort of a help wanted or
Yeah.
for sale type of thing. And then he joined my grandfather and brought into his printing operation, offset printing. So then my grandfather made him a partner and then deeded over the building and the business when he retired on his 100th birthday.
Oh, wow.
So they donated my uncle's children donated the camera that was used on the first flight over for British aircraft.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And my grandfather was strapped to the top wing with this big wooden box camera.
Does
So
anyone
he
have
was
that?
Marblehead was the birthplace of marine aviation. He was the birthplace of marine aviation photography.
I wonder how they picked them, how they tied them down.
Piece of rope.
This rope. This is before OSHA.
Well,
Sounds
the other thing that's funny is, you know, if you think about it, the pilot's never had to practice with something on his wing either. Oh.
They still have the camera on display down there, right?
Yeah. Well, it's at the
Across the street.
the Frost building.
Yeah.
We call it the garden spot.
Yeah.
The bishops own that they sold plants. Flowers.
Oh, that's cool. I know that.
Frank, have you met Crystal? This is
No,
Crystal. This is Frank Gordon.
So you too. I was listening to your
That's Tom.
aerial.
And I'm Andy again. Yeah, we met the other night.
Already talking? No. This is, okay, thank you. How are you? We talked last time. So many of these topics I've already heard. Well, enjoy the movie when you're leaving the presentation. Oh, it's great.
No, I heard back from Jack tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Where is she today? Crystal's right here. No, her husband. Yeah. The rings.
Did you buy some? Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Maybe this evening.
Well, how is it? You and Frank are getting together to do something?
Yes, we are. New thing we're gonna be starting.
Have a fresh battery.
corner.
No, it's a new thing that Lauren and I thought of. It's histories of people like Frank on towns. So,
Good thinking.
It's great.
I like to hear stories.
I think we might have one or two for you.
Did you find that?
Nothing wrong with that.
You know?
I didn't know if it was. Yes.
It's a serious stuff. It's all about the two people.
I will say that. The site, I don't know.
Yeah, always made it home on the street.
Where I had photographed.
I was shocked.
And it said,
Yesterday,
tell.
I drove downtown, there was a police officer down by the townhouse giving forgiveness.
Down the gauge.
To what? Policeman Paul.
Yeah,
You know, a little bit.
people that are parking over 2 hours in the parking space.
There's a lot.
Uh,
She said, I probably living in the 18th century.
There weren't any orange signs up.
Sit in the front. It's so great, some. Go ahead.
Somebody
Some
must have been
books.
complaining about people parking all day.
You fill out the survey.
Well, because my son added,
No.
after 17
I
years,
didn't.
I think it was added.
I will send it.
So the best stuff, well, they had to be excavated.
Not sure it'll do any good. I had done it, and it popped up again.
First.
With an email reminder. I sent it to a few people. I thought I had already done it to you, but I'll make a point.
I found high stuff, because I knew the stuff would have been tossed out.
Sadly, it's fall apart more and more and more.
And then the later stuff would have been tossed. Well, I don't know.
Busy with the budget. How many-
That's what's gonna happen if they build a skating rink.
Oh, Rick. Yeah.
This looks like it's a ceramic.
He has one. I think he helps. Very.
I know. I am such a slow reader.
Yeah, yeah.
Someday I'm
But
gonna.
I've never done.
library since the.
Just before I.
Ocean
Just
as well. That are later.
checked my
Used to be
email.
very good. So when they were.
Ooh, they paid very
Where my
good.
hearing is. So here's why I'm leaving.
I'm not allowed to be there to the passion site.
I paid
Kind of
market
lost.
rate.
So-
70 grand.
So I asked the ocean to just sit here. She was very.
Another one which didn't make me.
Yeah, I was asking.
It should have been like 24. For some reason, it was like 17.
As much as she could find, the rest went out of the backup.
So I don't think.
A lot of good day. But not everything. Yeah, that.
Well, you know, but I am.
Shocked yesterday, yes, the GE council. Cadillac Escalade.
But there's a lot of fun.
Such 3 of them, so a bunch of cars lost weight. So they checked out, retired. Corporates in Boston now, so it's a big wheels here today.
Oh, yeah.
No, first the lieutenant governor.
Oh.
And Bristol.
Bristol, the basketball player.
Yeah, he was getting another tour. He was.
But I've seen her.
Yay!
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
And I'm glad she's doing it like, yeah, it will help. Yeah. Brisk. It was nice. So any of our programs, half of them occurred, the other half don't occur. No, so at least her program.
Okay.
And it was by the.
And like this here.
Eastern
Yeah,
Rangers.
actually, 14.
Okay. Sort of the concert hall, but I've never been there.
Tucker's gonna be a guest at these.
Oh.
She's home, computer for me, an expert on, she is on Marvel architecture. You gotta give a lot of.
Subjects.
Definitely
She's being. I heard her very girls are.
I gave it my child, he was my first.
I mean, I had.
Because Saturday.
That's for you. We've been saving it for you.
Oh, nice. Oh, sorry, you're turned away, there's another seat. I wanted her to know. Thank you. But I'm on a plane. You're up. Okay.
No, it's just so.
It's big and easy.
They did some research.
Okay.
15, 16.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
This is mine. You can do this for you. I just. It's okay. And then you must go.
Yeah.
And I mistakes. Schedule.
They're gonna charge for the printing drive. Belt station.
Maybe you already got it.
Look, during the soccer matches.
Oh,
Really?
okay. No, so.
I think it's like 15. You see that?
It's not a good idea. Not a novel.
Everybody else is your last night.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we had.
Oh, yeah.
You know what?
They help pay for it, and they get. The card with stations.
Yeah, great. Is it near ski? You know,
It's fairly close to.
She didn't talk about it. No, it was selling.
Yeah, crazy.
No, I.
It's not like that is a tough
I think I was listening.
about a lot. So it's.
Yeah, right.
Like.
One person called in.
Well, it's the only time you can give us.
The third.
No, they're also different, right? Like, I was on cross country flight and I brought it like a 10-day. It wasn't the right amount, and then.
Yeah.
So then, I'm like, enough of that, and I tried to buy the right one on the way back, but then it turns out I ended up on a different line, and that didn't work. I'm like, oh, I don't like.
We had to use it. I've never been there.
The flight I was on, and I didn't have any, I didn't have a book, and I didn't have the ear things, everything were so sad. So I,
They've been there for at least.
you know, was very. Paper to draw, like I'm trying to like do what I can use, like a carpet bag, and you know, like the chest, like.
East side.
Oh.
That's where we stayed. We got a real cool floor of all kinds.
We were able to change it, exchange it.
It's like the. No, I'm not quite on board with that.
One of the weeks we exchanged, we turned it
I
into.
can.
Yeah.
But also when.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even know they had jigsaw puzzle website.
Yes.
Which means people in Hawaii come to phenomenal for that.
No.
You like to go?
Not necessarily.
We have an iPad, but I've never heard of like puzzles.
We could go.
Okay.
You gotta go away.
Something new every day.
It's very difficult. You get very cooperative. So we spent a lot of time really well, remember.
Yeah.
Alice Peace. Arthur Peace worked for the gas company. It's like.
We didn't schedule anything.
So
Yeah.
when I.
$3 I run at the library, we always schedule this meeting.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That was still going.
The other thing I like is.
She was overly friendly.
Oh. So they just had the annual meeting. But I don't. This is my daughter's. But Friday we have an event, we have two events this weekend. Friday after. I don't really know the details very well, but
I know.
very long. And then Saturday morning. Which is helping. No, it's interesting. It's just. There's something to me. I don't even know, that was still talking. But it's like 2 hours. And then I have a hockey tournament this weekend, so I was like, okay, so I can do the retro from 8 to 10, then I can jump in the car, I can drive out to walk or play my first game tournament.
Companies.
And then we have another game at 4, and then we have to get to the garden. Saturday's gonna be something. So we'll see. It's very.
Rather wait for it.
Again, has some housekeeping details. One, is there any Michael in the audience? And I've done the mic check. Phone, would you silence it or put it on vibrate? And remember, you can answer the phone if she who calls must be answered. Lastly, this is a Doliber thing. My dad would go to church, and if the minister spoke too long, my father would tap his watch. The longer the minister went, higher the watch went. Believe that the mind can absorb only what the seat can endure. That philosophy and welcome to the second presentation in Marblehead 250th celebration. The lecture is sponsored in part by a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Council and the Marblehead Cultural Council. We're all grateful for the use of this hall here at the Abbott Public Library. Don Doliber and I will be your presenter tonight for a short time. It is 1769, and it was a stressful year. To give you a background of the times, over the span of 9 years, Marblehead and Boston, riots over customs, riots over food costs, demands for local currency rejected by the Crown, many colonial wars, most recently being the French and Indian War, and then taxation increased. In addition, Marblehead faced smallpox pandemic, shutting the town off very often. And the non-importation agreements and the burning of the hospital at Cat Island. These events led to a local reaction, the creation in Massachusetts of local political groups known as the Sons of Liberty. The long-standing issue of impressment, and that means the removal of sailors from ships and putting them in the British Navy. Service in the Navy was roughly 12 to 20 years. Impressment riots and unsettled seaport safety in May 1768 led to the Ship Liberty riot and led to the governor's mansion being attacked and burned, the general court being held hostage. And by the way, somebody had suggested we go back to 1769. Impressment of Massachusetts sailors. That release of all of those impressed sailors. Marblehead politicians called for the removal of the royal governor. Local mariners faced a new tax called the Greenwood Hospital tax. I had never heard of this. Every mariner was assessed £6 per year to support a hospital in London for sick mariners. Most Marblehead sailors knew they would never be in that hospital. And yet that tax was collected on an annual basis. It is not immune to all of these events that had happened. And in the town, there's a quiet current of unrest. One of these events opened that unrest, and that was the Pitt Packet affair of 1769. Ask any American historian, they will tell you they've never heard of the Pitt Packet affair. However, John Adams said this was the most significant event on the course of the American Revolution. British frigate HMS Rose, armed with 24 cannons and a crew of 126 officers and sailors, was sailing in Salem Bay, faced with a major manpower shortage. Attempted to stop earlier vessels, but was unsuccessful. On Saturday, April 23rd, 1769, under the command of British Captain Benjamin Caldwell, the Rose, cruising 7 leagues off of Marblehead, encountered the Pitt Packet. The Pitt Packet brig owned by Robert Hooper, better known as King Hooper. It was captained by Thomas Powers. This vessel came with a crew of 6 sailors returning from Spain with a load of salt. Now remember, salt is a very valuable item, especially in Marblehead when it came to the presentation of fish in the market. Remember, Marblehead at this period of time is one of the leading ports in North America. To prove the point, when the U.S. government was first created, they set up a census. Marblehead was the 10th largest port in North America. Now, can you imagine Marblehead being 3 miles by 2 miles and had over 10,000 people? Had to be an incredible, crowded town. Well, after firing a warning shot, the Pitt Packet was boarded by a party of British sailors led by a young lieutenant named Henry Gibson Patton, P-A-N-T-O-N, Patton. The English, I'm sure, said it Patton. It's interesting to note that the Marblehead vessel is named after William Pitt, the leading British politician who supported the American push for rights in America. And it was this vessel that was stopped. The young officer demanded to see the American captain. He was conducted below deck to the captain's quarters. Captain Powers and first mate Hugh Hill, now remember the name, Hugh Hill, meet with the captain. Hugh Hill will later be known as a famous patriot here in Marblehead and then in Beverly, and was the first cousin to a young boy named Andrew Jackson. We produce a manifest of cargo, then demanded a list of the crew members and the logbook. Then asked the captain who should not be taken away from this vessel. Patton ordered that one of his staff and Hill assemble the full crew up on deck. The British captain, lieutenant, threatened Hill that if the full crew were not above on deck, Hugh Hill would be taken on board the British vessel. The crew was made up of Captain Powers, First Mate Hugh Hill, Michael Corbett, John Ryan, William Connor, Pierce Fenning, James McLaughlin, the cook, and James Rooney. Interesting. 4 Irishmen sailing on a Marblehead vessel. Shortly afterwards, the young British lieutenant heard a noise above and discovered that only 2 sailors had assembled up on the deck. He ordered a search made to find the missing crew members. The search found them. There were those 4 Irish sailors, Michael Corbett, John Ryan, William Connor, and Pierce Fenning. They were hiding in the forepeak of the vessel. Interesting to note that all of these 4 Irishmen are residents of Marblehead. The lieutenant called out to them to show themselves. Well, they were tucked aside with a good deal of rum, a musket, spoon. They used the rum very effectively. Able to get them to come on deck, the young British lieutenant ordered that the British sailor return to the Rose and return with a master of arms and armed British mariners. The arms Ford arrived, demanded an iron crowbar, which he was going to use to open up a new way into the forecastle. The lieutenant continued to demand the surrender, and he set his sword aside and took out his snuff and used his snuff. The sailors continued to refuse to come out. Corbett responded many times that he and the others would not come out and be impressed, but rather die as freemen. According to the testimony, Corbett drew a line with salt and challenged the young lieutenant to cross that line, and if he did, he would be a dead man. At that moment, Panton demanded a candle to see into the darkened area. After struggling to get the musket away from the hidden sailors, a British sailor took a loaded pistol, loaded with powder, but not with a bullet, discharged it into the darkened space. In doing so, that explosion scarred Michael Corbett across the face and broke John Ryan's arm. Patton became extremely irritated, threatened to take all of them now aboard the British vessel. Corbett spoon and threw it. The weapon penetrated the lieutenant's neck, severing his jugular vein and an artery. The fatally wounded officer was moved below deck and died 2 hours later. The remaining British crew finally captured the 4 drunken sailors, removed them to the Rose, and kept them under heavy chain. Both vessels turned to sail to Boston. However, the Rose, because of winds, took 2 days to enter the port. However, the Pitt packet came in and spread the word. By then, all of Boston and all of the North Shore knew the story. Now, the British Admiralty demanded jurisdiction. The incident took place at sea. The law allowed the Admiralty Court to try them for piracy and murder, not manslaughter. And there's a very clear difference here. By the acts of Henry VIII, King William, King George III, a special court of admiralty would be set up to try traitors, pirates, thieves, robbers, murderers, and Confederates upon the sea, judged them, and determined before an admiral or his lieutenant, after the course of civil law, give the sentence and judgment of death and to attend their execution. The law removed trial by jury. Now, if they had been tried by manslaughter, they could have avoided the punishment of death by claiming benefit of clergy, which I can answer for you later on. Now, the verdict had to be decided by judges on murder rather than before a group of the sailors' peers. A funeral service was conducted for the lieutenant with 2,000 armed British sailors and soldiers marching through Boston. Now, he was buried in a Boston cemetery near King's Chapel. Feelings were running high in Boston. James Otis, a well-known lawyer, noted in England for his legal arguments against writs of assistance and for defending legal rights of Americans, asked a young lawyer named John Adams to help defend these 4 sailors. Interesting. Otis, already famous throughout North America and England, had asked for this young American lawyer named Adams. Adams stated he would support Otis. Now remember, Otis is well known, but he's suffering from mental decline, and he will be later declared insane and die before the revolution. Adams argued the case should be tried in land court because it was on Marblehead property. Didn't work. Adams demanded that it be tried before the Boston Superior Court. That did not work. The charges against the 4 men were presented by Ezekiel Pierce, the special appointed clerk of this court. The British captain claimed that the young lieutenant was not there to impress, but only to search for smuggled goods. If found guilty of smuggling, the merchant vessels were now fair game for impressment as well as for fines and punishment. This had the cook testify that 4 men were free and born free and not subject to naval slavery. The case is referred to as Rex, meaning the British government, versus Corbett. Here's 37 pages of testimony given and annotated by Adams. The Special Admiralty Court was composed of 13 judges. Massachusetts Governor Thomas Bernard, not a popular person. Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor Thomas Hutchinson, not a popular person. In fact, his mansion was also burned, and his complete history of Massachusetts was burned by the mob. New Hampshire Governor John Wentworth, Admiral Samuel Hood, Superior Court John Ackerman, Peter Oliver, and 7 custom agents. Before the court, Otis claimed the defendants were British citizens and entitled to the right of representation before a jury. The court adjourned on May 29th when they announced no trial by jury, solely by the court. They adjourned until 14th of June, and it was spread that the prisoners would be taken to London for trial. However, the trial lasted for 3 days, evidence was taken. The first witness established the basic facts of the incident. Otis and Adams would have to prove that the British party were there to impress sailors and that impressment was illegal. Adams questioned Peter Brown, one of the British crew. Did you hear the lieutenant say that he did not intend to take more than 2? But as they hid, he would take all 4. Answer, he did not tell the master so, but he told the prisoners so while the boat was gone on board the Rose. Time later, Adams, to establish that force was threatened, asked what number of men and arms came to get these 4 sailors. Answer, 8 came with me and Mr. Stanhope, now making 12 in the British party. We brought 2 muskets, 4 pistols, and 4 cutlasses. A judge of the court asked another crew member, William Peacock, who had fired the pistol into the hold, have you any doubt in your mind that the lieutenant intended to impress the people or not? He answered, no, sir. Adams, here is the key thing. Adams searched Acts of Parliament and found that there was a piece of legislation passed under the reign of Queen Anne. This special statute outlawed impressment in all of the American colonies. Otis did get the British crew to admit that they found no smuggled goods. Now keep in mind, this is important. Every custom officer carried a warrant and what is called a writ of assistance. And it was issued under each king or queen. The moment the king or queen died, those commissions expired until the new monarch passed the legislation. Hence, as a time period, there is no law. A writ of assistance is a blank search warrant given to each custom official that could be used anywhere, anytime. And you can understand why Otis understood the importance of that. Adams pointed out that there was legislation. Now, just yesterday afternoon, I found something out. Adams already knew about this piece of legislation. Adams had done his clerking under Rhode Island Governor Stephen Hopkins, who showed Adams years before that piece of legislation. Was it a conspiracy that Adams and Otis were just waiting to set this court up? Claim that the British officer was simply carrying out his legal duties and that his death was in fact murder. He claimed that all 4 sailors were guilty of the murder and subject to the punishment of death. Adams and Otis closed by arguing that impressment was illegal in Massachusetts and that the British government had no legal grounds to impress. Adams secondly argued that sailors had a legal right to defend themselves, defense, and to protect their liberties when faced with lethal force, sword and pistol. This is important, that the American sailors have the right to resist British forces. Adams finally claimed that the search party was in fact trespassing when they went below deck. Captain Thomas Powers was asked, did the lieutenant demand a search of your vessels as a custom officer? The answer, no. On September 17th, 1769, Adams dismissed or demanded a directed verdict of justifiable homicide. In fact, he and Otis argued even that the lieutenant was legal in searching for illegal goods and that he had the permission to look throughout the vessel, but he was not given permission to impress sailors. On that day, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. The court adjourned without notice. Governor Hutchinson, after 4 hours, brought the court back. All expected the death penalty. The Admiralty Court, headed by the governor, set all 4 prisoners free upon the verdict of justifiable homicide. In fact, John Bryan, the individual who had the broken arm back when the pistol was discharged, sued the British admiral for 40 pounds. Adams defended and prosecuted the case against the admiral, and the admiral paid the fine. Adams always considered this case than the 1774 Boston Massacre. He believed that this case set Massachusetts on the road to stand up to the British forces housed in Boston and not to back down. He truly understood that this was a clear path of liberty granted to North American inhabitants based on English law. Adams later defended British soldiers charged with murder in the Boston Massacre when he demanded that justifiable homicide be determined. The courts ruled that it was justifiable homicide in the Boston Massacre. As a side note, time dictates different fate for the participants. Otis would go on and go insane and die a short time later. Adams would be following a path toward the American Revolution and later served as the ambassador to both France and England and was there for the Treaty of Paris, ending the American Revolution. And later served as vice president, and later served as the second president of the United States, and died at 90 years of age on July 4th, 1836. Governor Bernard and Lieutenant Governor Hutchinson both left Massachusetts, never to return to America. Wentworth went on to serve as the last royal governor of New Hampshire. Hood continued as British admiral right through the War of 1812. Corbett. We don't know how old Corbett was. He was nominated to be a captain in the Continental Navy, but continued to be hired by Robert Hooper, later commanding the schooner Collector and the brig Lively. He died in 1775-76. Hooper, who considered himself a prominent Marblehead citizen and merchant, declared himself a Tory. His estate was declared insolvent in the American Revolution due to extreme debt. Ryan, with a broken arm, married a Boston girl and disappeared from history. Hill, Irish-born inhabitant in Marblehead, served as the captain of King Hooper's General Wolfe in 1775 and privateer ships Pilgrim and Cicero. He moved to Beverly, where he died. And Powers served as the captain of schooners out of Marblehead. Interesting to do this research. I read the case. I read Ashley Bowen's journals. If you haven't read them, you should, just for fun. Marbleheader, who kept a journal from the time he had served in the French and Indian War until he died in the early 1800s, recorded everything that happened in Marblehead. What ships he worked on, how much he got paid, how many wives he buried, how many children. Fascinating, yes, about Marblehead. In fact, I always look in that just to see how he deals with different things, he never mentioned. Back. He mentioned everything else. Never mentioned the Pitt pack. Adams truly believed, in spite of many important events that he was involved in, that this one incident was the keystone of our concept of what is important and what is right. I am reminded of a quote of John Conley from The Killing Kind, telling us of the significance of the past. He writes, "This is a honeycomb world. The truth of nature lies deep in mines and caves. The stability of what is seen and felt beneath our feet is an illusion. The present is imperfect. Lay it upon the past, day upon day, year upon year, century upon century. Layers are added and imperfections multiplied. The past truly dies. It is there, waiting just below the surface of now." I encourage you to attend upcoming Marblehead presentations. The next one is scheduled on April 29th at the Marblehead Museum and features a talk on Elbridge Gerry by Robert Allison. Be sure to contact the museum as seating is limited. I also have 3 more presentations to give in the future. May 27th on Captain James Murphy, who Washington referred to as the only true mariner of the martyr of the Revolution. On June 17th, we're talking about Samuel Russell Trevitt, who commanded the cannon at Bunker Hill and was the only cannon never captured by the British at Bunker Hill. And finally, September the 2nd, on Captain Nicholson Broughton, who had some connection with a small vessel named the Hannah. All 3 are free and are here at Abbott Public Library. Are there any questions that I can answer? I hope I've not bored you. We've tapped the watch. Anderson will bring the mic up. I am deaf and hearing aids impaired, so speak slowly and loud into the mic. Ready?
So those 4 Irishmen, they swear that they were candidates for impressment. Others on the boat with the officers, were they not fared about impressment?
Pressman, the young lieutenant had said, "Are there any married individuals?" Now, he couldn't take the officers. He would basically look for strong crew members. So there are 4 of them that are Irish and 2 that are not. And it's interesting that you have to understand the concept of being Irish. There is no such thing as a free state of Britain. And the Irish have been very proud of freedom. And they knew this word. There was nobody telling them to say this, that they are going to say, "We are free born and not subject to naval slavery." That's an interesting 2 words that would be used. And I was also amazed that for a brig, with a crew of 8, you have another vessel that takes 100 and something officers and sailors. I'm not sure I answered your question.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that. I'm really struck by the congruence of John Adams's arguments in the Boston Massacre case and in this case. And it seems like in both cases, he's arguing for British law being enforced properly. And I'm wondering if you think he actually saw it coming. And in the Boston Massacre, he was thinking, if I stand up for this law, it's eventually going to be useful for getting our own freedom.
Or I would have liked John Adams. Read David McCulloch's work on Adams. He tells you about a very strong patriot. I would tell you that Adams had an incredible legal mind. Remember, John Adams is the one who helps produce the Massachusetts Constitution, which is an incredible legal document. And Adams's mind had to be like a steel trap. He had to have an incredible memory that he still had remembered this from his young internship in Rhode Island. I have to tell you, Adams was a credible legal mind. But again, personality-wise, Abigail had to be a saint.
Boston Massacre was just a year, 11 months after this incident. So after 11 months after, but quite a volatile time.
Defending American, and then the very next defending British soldiers. So he was going by the rule of law.
Thank you, Judy. Couple questions, Don. Part of the War of 1812 was we're obviously independent. Impressed our sailors as well. War crimes at that time, or I mean, there were a lot of men, and from name of it, in yeah, and I don't know, hundreds, thousands of Americans were impressed. I didn't realize they were being impressed as early as 1769, but
had existed for a long period of time. The French used it, the English used it, the Portuguese used it, the Spanish used it. Any of those sailors were subject to impressment if they were stopped by a vessel. It continued right through to the War of 1812. And Marbleheaders were noted for going to Dartmoor prison in England and led to the famous Dartmoor massacre. In fact, the name Broughton is a significant name because the descendant of Nicholson Broughton and the Hannah ended up being a young sailor and imprisoned at Dartmoor. Have any of you been to Dartmoor? I have. It is a
tourist
to the British. In fact, when I went through Dartmoor, I had said to my wife, we could stop. I have two relatives who served here, and they weren't British soldiers. In fact, at one point, somebody, British soldier guarding at Dartmoor, turned to Marbleheader and said, just where is Marblehead? There are so many of you here. And the sailor said, it's a few miles north of a place called Bunker Hill. Even in the War of 1812, when the war was over, those American prisoners had to wait for American ships to come and pick them up. It was an incredible prison.
comment on Adams' death in 1826, July 4th. Jefferson died the same day, which is very unique occurrence. Yes.
Died before. And remember, Adams and Jefferson were political enemies. They didn't talk to each other for a long time. And after Adams had left the presidency, after Jefferson had left, after the War of 1812, after Adams' son, who would become president, John Quincy Adams, they reestablished communication by mail. And they wrote letters back and forth. And when they died as friends. significant, July 4th, that those two would in fact be still alive, but would die on that day, without question. Any other questions?
But that story, do you remember? Because I can't remember which of the men at the time of his dying said, does Adams still live? Or was it Jefferson, Adams that said, does
Jefferson still lives, but he was wrong. Jefferson had died that morning.
run across anything, Don, about Michael Corbett, who was sent maybe by Adams on some top secret mission down in the Caribbean, and that's when he died. Did you run across that at all?
Corbett that we're talking about, again, those four individuals disappeared. Ryan, like I said, married the Boston girl and simply disappeared. Who knows? He could have moved to New Hampshire and never be heard from again. But it's interesting that these mariners helped to set a course that nobody saw coming. And who knows? Some people would say Adams saw it. Patrick Henry saw it. Again, the Pitt Packet affair is an interesting affair. I'm trying to think any other questions that I could answer for you. Yes, sir.
Reciprocity. Emerging as American law. Let's face it, probably Israeli law, Jewish law. Some legal thinking in which people were kind of aligned, in which these decisions were being made, in which they were almost comfortable because this was something that
I'm going to answer in different ways. One is that we were, as Americans, to have a group of individuals throughout those 13 colonies that lived at the same time with a high sense of morality. You look at George Washington, he doesn't have a legal background. He has a military background, a background as a surveyor. But you have Jefferson, you have Madison, you have Adams, you have a number of those individuals who had keen legal minds, came together in that Declaration of Independence, and they turned to the one guy who stuttered, Jefferson, and had him write that document. And that document had to bring questions. Slavery was not done away with that declaration when we talk about the course of human rights. And yet they had a concept of something higher and better. And you look at that, Jefferson was a graduate. I'm not sure he was a graduate. He went to Virginia. And then we have Harvard. So they had to be incredible legal concept. And remember, they were trained in the classics, both Greek and Roman law. And so there was a sense of history and that concept of the Hammurabi's code of an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, and that comes down. Really different legal approach and a different path. And that was the American Revolution. There's an American historian named Hofstadter who wrote a book called Revolution. Said when you look at the French Revolution, you look at the American Revolution, you look at the Russian Revolution, there is a trait here. He called it a circle, in which you see different groups being involved. And when they buy in, the revolution happens. And then comes the counter-revolution, and the cycle starts again. Interesting approach to looking at history. And throughout that cycle, there's one phase. It's when the legal minds and the religious minds come together and agree. Then the revolution is ready to break out. Upstart is not an easy book to read. I used to require students to read it. They die.
If people have a chance to, Lucy Worsley on PBS has a new program about the revolution, about Benjamin Franklin and the Declaration of Independence. And she talks about that process of what Jefferson wrote and then the product that actually came out with once the team effort got involved in the editing. It's very, very eye-opening. So that's brand new.
Written and when I was in Windsor when about taxes. I said to my tour guide, you know, we handled it very easily. We put the tea in the harbor. Well,
Thank you very much. Any books you would recommend specific to Marblehead that around this period of history that you would recommend for people such as myself or anybody else that are not maybe as thick as the Anatomy of Revolution?
by a couple of Marblehead historians. Sam Rhodes' work, which supposedly was written by his mother.
Thank you.
In the Spirit of 76 lives here, which is an easy read. And again, focusing on the revolution. And then you have all the other histories of Marblehead that have been written.
Rhodes' book is the History and Traditions of Marblehead.
And at the end, hopefully coming in the summer, after summer, we might have our author back in terms of the indispensables. The question, I'm so surprised somebody didn't ask this. My wife read this. She's always my best critic. Read this and she said, how much is a league?
Oh, yeah, I bet you'd tell us.
Get up. League is 3 miles. It's 21 miles off Marblehead. It's a long distance in my mind. And remember, this is part of an incredible trade. So we've covered the writs of assistance. Benefit of clergy. This is a British law. If you're being tried for manslaughter, if you claimed and worked under a clergyman and learned religious scripture and could repeat it, not subject to death on manslaughter. They have benefit of clergy. Was very interesting. 1692, if you were convicted in the witchcraft trials, you had to pay for the rope and your own imprisonment. And if you didn't, they grabbed your property and then demanded the family pay, or in one case, holding the body in the cellar until the family came over the money. Massachusetts law was pretty tough. Any other questions? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out.
Are you interested? No.
Nice to meet you officially.
Thank you for the suggestion. That's a nice Saturday. All right, I gotta do better. Yeah, I just need this.
And then I don't know if you need tickets for.
I got 'em. Yeah. Was that your water? Funny. That's so funny. I remember when
I know when I look.
I just love it.
Same church.
Yeah.
See you later.
See you later.
For you. Good to see you too.
Well, my goodness gracious.
Going to be on MHTV?
Yes, probably in May. Okay, I got, yeah. I did Judy Anderson's last week. You here for last week? Yeah, so. I'm not gonna do all of them, I'll do my best.
And you're with MHTV?
Yes, I am. I'm James Maroney.
And I'm with, right. I'm a guy, 26 years. So I put all this.
Okay.
I always look forward
It's responsible.
Good.
If I only had enough here.
Thanks for all the things you're doing. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm fine. Yes. Yes. Walking. Yeah. Yeah. Are you still? Still good? I am at the COA. Good for you. Yo, yes. Yeah.
Head,
I heard him
in
talk
his
to
own
right.
words,
When I fell and got injured, I took another nonprofit on that.
her own.
Number $5,000.
Lawrence Dawson, he does a great
Two
job.
people get as much as 2,000.
He has a long commute.
Sign something.
Sort of a shadow, but. How's your daughter?
Looking to rent a different place.
Yes, I know Ed, super guy.
I know.
I know Ed.
Twice,
Three other
like
people
300
Came a lot of
Oh,
suggestions.
really? What do you hear?
Recent.
Never
Day around.
missed one day.
Oh my God. Wow. And look,
Celebration.
oh, definitely. Wow, that's dedication.
Yeah.
I've had to drive over an hour to places, but that's about as much as I ever had to do.
Ron does a nice job. So.
I live in Marblehead and I work in Marblehead. Very simple. I can walk down. Hope Creek.
I didn't realize that how long a time frame it was from when they were. 20 miles, wherever above the coast. So they actually made it back to this area. So they went to Boston and went to England. The impression was, I mean, English port. Maybe they did it in
Oh, I
Boston.
think it was here. Yeah, I think it was here because they were threatening to go to London.
That's the question.
But so it would have been English appointed, king appointed, judge, etc. So
Need to listen to all this. Let's just get the rope up, hang on.
yeah, right. Get it over with.
So how are you doing? Staying out of trouble? Getting
Yeah.
a convertible out soon?
Yeah. Geez, the way the potholes are, I'm afraid I'm going to
You'll
lose
lose
the
it
tire.
for sure.
Let's see what happens.
All the money that we're spending, making all these curb cuts for handicap
Yeah.
accessible, which is a wonderful idea. But at the same time, we're not doing anything to fix the sidewalk, with all the roots and stuff. There's one, Westford Drive that they were doing. They took up the hot top to like this point here, 5 feet away, it's like a big mountain to get over it. But one thing it will do, it will save the town some money on plywood. Because when they push all that crap up, they won't hit the granite, they'll go right up on the ramp.
Eric said that this was a specific grant, so they can't take the money.
For other things.
But yeah, I mean, the sidewalk from my house to Preston Beach.
Yeah.
Roots and everything,
It's like that every place. Pretty bad. The other thing I noticed, like, they took in last fall, they put a lot of liquid power, like clearing all the crap and stuff. The plows, all those little pieces, they're everywhere. Different. You've noticed how great the sidewalks are, because you're out and about walking.
You're not that great.
No, they're crap.
Yeah, they
The
are.
roads are pretty bad.
They're awful. But yeah.
Just focus on getting the main roads, just something on them. I mean, it's,
That would be a good thing.
no, I'm really surprised though. I'm really disappointed. I've only been here 12 years, but I'm very disappointed. I mean,
Randy and I, we've.
yeah.
In the backyard.
Used to be a lot different.
Yeah.
And part of it, it seems to me like when they have all these diggings for gas lines and water.
Yeah, they don't, right.
They don't make them.
Crystal, you guys can go.
Right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All that work 3 summers ago around
Nor were all.
Abbott Hall in that area, they were supposed to redo all that. That road has not been redone.
They may be waiting for other work to get done.
Are you going to that thing at the Council on Aging?
No, Will Dow just told me he's going to, what exactly is it? I have.
Like from 10 to 12 or something. You
Right.
have different departments.
That's what I thought, yeah.
And you can ask them questions.
Right. I was thinking of covering it, but I have something else I'm gonna be doing, but.
But you can't be every place.
No, it's been a long day. I'm probably edit. Okay, enjoy it.